Archangel Michael says, "Do not be deceived by the ones pretending they don't understand you. Their silence is loud, their smirks are calculated, and their confusion is a mask. You have not lost your mind, you're awakening while they sleep in their own illusions. They've painted you as unpredictable, too intense, too emotional, or even unstable, but deep down, they know your spirit sees right through them. They fear your inner clarity, and that is why they distort your voice with fake concern. You are not the problem, you are the mirror, and the reflection terrifies them. They don't want others to listen to your truth because it threatens their control, their secrets, their comfort zones. They pretend they don't understand you, when in reality, they understand too well, and it burns them inside. You are being misunderstood on purpose, not because of confusion, but because of intimidation. Archangel Michael says, "The power within you breaks the lies they use to hold others down. The more you express yourself, the more they call you names. Not because you're wrong, but because you're dangerously right." Type Amen to get blessing 333. You are not overthinking, it's real. The glances, the whispers, the isolation were never a coincidence. They have made a choice to isolate you emotionally because they knew you would one day realize your divine strength. People have labeled you in ways that steal your dignity, only to keep your voice small. But your voice is not small. It is thundering in the spiritual world and echoing in the heavens. God has not been silent about you. They call you unpredictable only because they can't predict how you will expose the truth next. They say you're too much, but what they mean is you're more than they can handle. And that is exactly why you must not shrink. Type Amen to get blessing 494. Do not accept the labels placed on you by people too afraid to look at themselves. You are not unstable. You are unraveling chains and rewriting spiritual laws they were too lazy to learn. You speak from a place of pain, strength, fire, and truth. Some tried to convince others you were delusional so no one would believe you when the time came. But heaven believed you before you ever spoke. The angels never questioned your sanity, only humans did. Archangel Michael says, "The enemy tries to make prophets look mad so that their warnings are ignored." You've been treated like a threat, not because of your actions, but because your presence reminds them of what they have tried to forget. Your energy shakes what they've been trying to keep buried. They will pretend you are making things up, but deep down, they know you're not. Your instincts scare them because they can't manipulate them. Your divine memory is waking up, and they fear it. Type Amen to get blessing 117. You see things others don't want to see, and that's why they dismiss you. They don't want to hear about betrayal, secrets, manipulation, or the darker side of human nature, but why? You see it, and that makes you dangerous to their lies. You're not broken. You're broken open. There's a difference between being lost and being called out of hiding, and you, child of heaven, were never meant to be hidden forever. They call you irrational because you don't follow the script they created to keep you silent. You disrupt their plans by simply existing in truth. They are trying to quiet you, but it will not work much longer. The divine is lifting the fog off your name. You are being cleared in spiritual realms as they continue lying in the physical. God has already exposed their hearts. And now yours is being revealed with glory. Type Amen to get blessing 800. You were never created to fit into their molds. Your freedom disturbs those who are addicted to control. When they whisper that you are crazy, it is their final defense against your inner power. They saw how your words shifted atmospheres. They felt the way your presence made hidden things tremble. That is why they want people to misunderstand you, because if others believed you, their entire facade would crumble. They manipulate the narrative and twist your motives. But heaven is restoring your reputation. Divine justice is not delayed, it is being delivered with precision. Archangel Michael says, your identity is being rewritten by heaven, not by opinions. The world may not understand you, but the heavens celebrate your bravery. You were not born to be understood, you were born to be remembered. Type Amen to get blessing 212. Some people hate you not because of what you did, but because you refused to play along. You held your dignity when they expected you to beg. You stood silent when they tried to provoke a reaction. They mistook your silence for weakness. But your silence was sacred. It was your way of letting heaven respond in ways that human mouths could never. Every tear you cried in confusion was collected by angels. They watched as you tried to explain yourself only to be mocked. But soon, those who misunderstood you on purpose will be silenced by truth they can no longer deny. You are the storm they hoped would never come, you are the voice they hoped would stay hidden. And now, your rise will not be stopped. Type Amen to get blessing 625. You are not here to convince anyone. You are here to awaken those who are ready to see, and the truth is, more people are waking up than you realize. Someone you never expected is starting to believe you. They're seeing what you've been saying all along. The walls around your truth are cracking, and soon it will flood into light. They laughed at you, but now their laughter is dry. They mocked you, but now they're silent in your presence. Their games no longer work because God has entered the conversation. Archangel Michael says, what was hidden is now being shouted from rooftops. The same people who called you irrational will now depend on your wisdom. They will try to re-enter your life with flattery. Be wise. Type Amen to get blessing 404. You are not a mistake. You are a messenger. A forerunner. A living prophecy in human form. Those who mistreated you out of fear are being exposed. Their masks are cracking. Their alliances are breaking down. People don't misunderstand you because you're complicated. They misunderstand you because they refuse to rise to your frequency, but now, you're surrounded by divine clarity. You don't need approval. You need alignment. And alignment has come. Heaven is celebrating your endurance and placing a divine mantle on your name. Type Amen to get blessing 377. The pain of being misunderstood was never punishment. It was preparation. You were being carved into someone who could stand without needing explanation. Someone who could walk alone and still be whole. They said you were unstable, but you were just spiritually awake. You were not too sensitive, you were accurately feeling things others could not handle. And now, your divine sight is your protection. You were labeled strange, but heaven called you chosen. You were called dramatic, but heaven calls you divine. You were abandoned by people but held by angels. Archangel Michael says, your name is being protected from slander in places you don't even know about. Heaven is your shield. The time of isolation is becoming a time of revelation. Type Amen to get blessing 969. The very people who doubted you will need you. They will reach out. They will confess what they tried to bury. You will not need revenge. Their shame will do the work, and your peace will speak louder than anything. They'll remember how you never struck back. How you endured, cried, and grew in silence. That silence was your sword. You don't owe anyone a performance, you are not a spectacle to be judged. You are a soul designed with holy purpose. Type Amen to get blessing 144. Your mind is not a battlefield, it's a sanctuary being restored. Your thoughts are sacred, your clarity is not confusion. It's a higher knowing. Let them keep whispering. Heaven hears louder. Let them keep accusing, God already ruled in your favor. The people who misunderstood you knew exactly what they were doing. They knew the consequences of denying the truth, and they did it anyway. Their reward will match their choices. Archangel Michael says, you were misunderstood so heaven could separate you, now you are returning stronger than ever. And nothing will stop what has already been written for you. Type Amen to get blessing 801. They will come around, but it will be too late for some. You will have already stepped into a new realm, one they cannot follow into. Their mocking voices will echo in their heads. Not yours. Their laughter will turn into regret. Your silence will echo as a testimony. You are not crazy, you are not broken. You are the sign they tried to ignore, and now, it's too loud to silence. You are not alone. You were never crazy, you were always ahead. Type Amen to get blessing 555. You never needed their validation. What you needed was time, and now time has given birth to truth. Everything that felt like rejection was divine protection redirecting your destiny. They acted confused to make you question yourself. But now they are the ones confused, watching your glow grow beyond their reach. The spotlight they tried to steal is now yours, divinely granted and spiritually untouchable. Their games no longer affect you because you've been reborn through fire. You're no longer explaining yourself, you're showing results. You are the proof that misunderstood souls are often the most powerful. Type Amen to get blessing 363. They threw stones and expected you to collapse. But you picked up each stone and built your altar. From that altar, your voice is rising like thunder, and every lie is falling apart. You were not silent because you were weak. You were silent because God was preparing a louder sound from your spirit. And now, that sound is beginning to roar through every space that once held shame. They misunderstood you on purpose so they could control how others saw you. But now, heaven is speaking for you, clearing your name in places your feet haven't even walked yet. Every false rumor is being dismantled by divine truth. Archangel Michael says, their accusations are becoming echoes while your clarity becomes a trumpet of revelation. Their pride is fading as your light intensifies. They will not be able to run from what they tried to cover. Type Amen to get blessing 121. There's a reason God allowed you to walk alone. He needed your path to be untainted by their judgment. He needed your name to be reshaped by heaven, not humans. You were being misunderstood to be remembered. Every lie is now a spotlight that reveals their fear of your truth. Your spirit could never be tamed by manipulation. They didn't want to know the real you, because if they did, they'd have to admit you were never wrong. They'd have to take accountability, and that's what they feared most. Now they are running from the very stories they created. You are not crazy, you are chosen. You are not weak, you are divine. You are not too much, you are the exact vibration needed to break old cycles. Type Amen to get blessing 900. They called you names to break your confidence, but you didn't break, you evolved. You didn't shrink, you transformed. Your path was lonely because God needed to remove distractions. The fewer voices around you, the easier it became to hear heaven. Now your clarity is your weapon. People who once laughed at you are now watching you in secret. They're trying to study what they once dismissed. But your wisdom was never for their amusement, it was for your assignment. They feared your truth because it made them face their lies. And when you refused to play their games, they labeled you dangerous, but what they called dangerous, heaven calls powerful. Type Amen to get blessing 747. They acted like you were the problem to hide that they were the poison. But now everyone sees the difference. The way you carry yourself in peace exposes the chaos they tried to trap you in. Their plans are falling apart. Their circle is dividing. The people they used against you are no longer loyal to them. You are entering a new spiritual contract. You're no longer the outcast, you're the ordained. God has placed a divine crown over your survival. Archangel Michael says, those who mocked your healing are now broken by their own wounds. They tried to make you look lost, but you found your way in silence. That silence was your strength. Type Amen to get blessing 222. Your presence alone unsettles their comfort. That's why they avoid your eyes. That's why they make up lies. Because they don't want to deal with the weight of your knowing, you are carrying ancient wisdom. They don't understand how, but they feel it. And instead of honoring it, they try to erase it. Their misunderstanding was never innocent. It was a strategy, a quiet attempt to erase your influence before it began. But your influence isn't based on popularity, it's written in spirit. It cannot be stolen. It cannot be replicated. It is divine, and it's unfolding. Type Amen to get blessing 811. They never thought you'd rise. They never imagined your silence would turn into power. But now, they are witnessing a rising they cannot stop. You were isolated so you could be anointed, you were rejected so you could be redirected. Everything that broke your heart is now rebuilding your purpose. They pretended they didn't understand your pain so they wouldn't have to change. But heaven understood it all. And heaven is responding in full. Archangel Michael says, your tears are the key to the next door. Your silence has activated a judgment that no one can undo. The throne they mocked is the throne you now sit upon. Type Amen to get blessing 393. They knew who you were before you did. That's why they feared you. They saw your light when you still thought you were broken. They tried to cover that light before it burned away their lies. They underestimated your spiritual resilience. They thought pain would silence you forever. But pain only sharpened your vision. You're not just surviving anymore. You're rising. And your rise is shaking the very ground they used to stand on confidently. Let them keep watching. Let them keep whispering. Because what's coming next will leave them speechless. Type Amen to get blessing 606. You have nothing left to prove. Your life is the proof. Your peace is the answer, your glow is the reply. They once called you unstable, but now they can't match your strength. They once laughed at your dreams, but now your vision is unfolding. And they can't stop it. You don't need to clear your name, God is doing it for you. You don't need to defend your sanity, your blessings will do the speaking. You are about to be understood by the right ones. Archangel Michael says, your season of misinterpretation is ending. You will now be seen, respected, honored, and received. Those who laughed will now bow before what heaven has ordained. Type Amen to get blessing 777. They will whisper, I always believed in you, but their silence back then spoke louder. You remember who left you in the dark. But don't hold bitterness, hold the crown. The people who confused you on purpose will try to re-enter your life with sweet words, but wisdom now surrounds you. Your soul can detect false light. You are no longer their target. You are now their teacher. And they will learn from the glory you carry. You were never broken. You were being rebuilt. And now, you are unshakable. Type Amen to get blessing January 1991. Your time in the shadows is done, the misunderstanding ends here. Heaven is rewriting your story publicly. The pain you felt from rejection is now transforming into sacred elevation. You don't walk alone anymore, angels walk with you. Every step is watched, guarded, and celebrated. Let them regret what they did. Let them sit in the echo of their doubt. Because your silence has bloomed into thunder. Archangel Michael says, you will now be known not for what they said, but for who you really are. The fire inside you is holy, and nothing can put it out now. Type Amen to get blessing 333. You are stepping into the most sacred phase of your life, one where every lie told about you turns into dust. The ones who once mocked you will now sit in confusion, asking how the person they misunderstood became the one the world can no longer ignore. You were never crazy, you were marked, and they couldn't comprehend that kind of divine stamp. Your silence was never weakness, it was the waiting. Period. Before God delivered the truth publicly. The same rooms that laughed at you will now echo with your name, not in mockery but in reverence. You will not need to prove anything, your favor will do the speaking for you. They made a show out of misunderstanding you, they exaggerated your flaws and ignored your gifts. They spoke of you like a puzzle no one could solve, but you were not a puzzle, you were prophecy. Type Amen to get blessing 363. They feared your mind because it wasn't like theirs. Your thoughts weren't chaotic, they were advanced. And when they couldn't keep up, they called you names to hide their jealousy. You were not overreacting. You were picking up frequencies that others denied. The emotional weight you carried wasn't insanity, it was sacred sensitivity. They tried to turn your emotions into evidence against you, but your emotions were never a weakness, they were a divine compass. Now, that compass is guiding you out of their illusions and into your elevation. Archangel Michael says, their games are being exposed in divine order. The ones who laughed are now praying for access to your peace. But peace has become your power, not something you hand out for free anymore. Type Amen to get blessing 818. You were punished for seeing what others refused to see. But you were not cursed, you were gifted. Heaven placed a vision inside you that scared those who couldn't match it. They told people you were unpredictable, but what they meant was, we can't control this one. You saw too much. Felt too much. Knew too much. And that made you a threat. Their confusion was deliberate. They never wanted people to understand you because if they did, they would have had to question everything. But now people are waking up, one by one, and their lies are unraveling. You are not broken, you're blessed. Not misunderstood by accident, but by design. So that only the right ones will recognize you when it matters. Type Amen to get blessing 144. They used fake concern to disguise real control. Asking if you were okay only so they could label you. But deep down, they knew, they just didn't want anyone else to. You are rising above every whisper, every rumor, every distortion. And your soul is louder than any lie ever spoken over you. You do not need to explain yourself to anyone. You are beyond words now, you are evidence that misunderstood people are the most anointed. Archangel Michael says, your life is becoming a divine warning to those who try to destroy chosen ones. They are learning slowly but surely that God always defends His anointed even when it seems silent. Type Amen to get blessing 557. You didn't lose yourself, you were hiding in survival. And now, you're resurfacing, not weaker, but wiser. They tried to call you irrational, but you were the one holding the emotional truth they couldn't confront. You were never emotional for attention. You were emotional because your soul couldn't lie. People called you dramatic because you weren't numb. But numbness isn't strength. It's suppression. And you were never made to suppress your divine knowing. Now the world is shifting, people are craving what you carry. And the same ones who misunderstood you are searching for your voice. Type Amen to get blessing 505. You've become the voice of clarity. The pillar of truth, the mirror people try to avoid. But mirrors always win in the end. You've reflected the truth so clearly, even the blind are beginning to see. That's why they can't stand near you anymore. They twisted your words to preserve their comfort, but now, your words are becoming seeds of transformation in others. They grow despite the opposition. You are not too much, you are perfectly measured by heaven. The people who couldn't handle you were never meant to carry you. Now you're being handed to those who can. Type Amen to get blessing 676. The battlefield of your mind has become the throne room of your destiny. You fought off every accusation, every label, every forced silence. And now, your clarity is armor. Your resilience is terrifying to your enemies. Because every time they thought you were gone, you came back stronger. You didn't just survive, you multiplied. You've become someone even they don't recognize anymore. They're staring at the version of you they tried to bury. But God was busy planting you, Archangel Michael says. No one will take credit for your growth except heaven. No one will claim they believed in you when you were in the dirt. Your story is for God's glory alone. Type Amen to get blessing 999. You don't owe them closure, they don't deserve your softness. What they deserve is distance, and you're giving it gracefully. They cannot mock what they can't reach anymore. Your peace is gated. Your soul is guarded. Your blessings are protected. You are being elevated in ways they can't track. You're on timelines they can't read. They are lost in the confusion they created, while you are soaring in divine order. Soon they'll realize, you weren't crazy, you were called, and that calling now has a crown. Type Amen to get blessing 117. You are no longer affected by the stares, the whispers, the avoidance. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be light. Let them pretend they don't see your growth. Let them act like they never hurt you. Heaven keeps receipts. They will watch your success and remember their cruelty. They will recall how they twisted your spirit into something ugly when you were only trying to be free. Archangel Michael says, your freedom is now irreversible. Your healing is now undeniable. Your power is now undeniable. Type Amen to get blessing 313. You are the storm that couldn't be stopped, the flame they couldn't snuff out. The soul they couldn't label. You are not here to fix their perception, you're here to fulfill your purpose. And that purpose is happening now, moment by moment. You're no longer in hiding. The misunderstood is becoming the celebrated. The discarded is becoming the divine. This is your redemption arc. This is where heaven flips the script. This is where the one they all forgot becomes the one no one can stop talking about. Type Amen to get blessing 434. This message is not finished because your story is still unfolding. You will continue to walk in power. You will continue to speak without fear. You will continue to rise and rise again. Their misunderstanding will not define you. Heaven's marking already has. You are no longer broken. You are the evidence that miracles walk in human form. Archangel Michael says, go forward now with no shame, no fear, no confusion. You are seen. You are understood. And finally, you are free. Type Amen to get blessing 888.